Hi everyone, welcome to the Gold Knights at the Round Table. I'm editor James A. Molnar. Today I will be joined by correspondents Jake Howell in Indiana and Heather Leszczewicz in Illinois, outside of Chicago. We'll be discussing our favorite films of 2010 and our worst film of the year. It should be an interesting discussion, so let's get started. Alright, so I have two of our correspondents here. We have Jake Howell on your left and Heather Leszczewicz on your right. Jake is in Indiana and Heather is in Illinois near Chicago. So, all right, we're going to be talking about our top 3 favorite films of the year. You can read our whole top 10 list right here at thegoldknight.com. And we're going to start off with Jake, and his number 3 best film of the year was The King's Speech. And
Yes.
And you said that the trailer was dull, but The King's Speech is a great movie.
It was.
Why
Yeah.
why would you say it was a great movie?
Well, we could start off looking at the technical aspects. I thought it was very well made. Great acting, great directing, all that. Uh, but I really liked how personal of a film it actually was. You know what I mean? You're actually in there with in the room with Jeffrey Rush, talking to him and all that. I thought the dynamic between those two characters was really well done. Great performances, to boot. Uh, I thought Helena Bonham Carter, who I'm usually not a huge fan of, I thought she really, really did a good job in this one as his wife.
Now, Heather, you have that. I guess we can precurse that by saying, you know, that is your number 1 movie of the year.
Yeah, it is.
Why?
Finish
How
your question.
so?
Well, I think just the performance by Colin Firth is just amazing. I mean, I hate public speaking, but to have to actually put that stammer in, and he's choking on words. I just thought that was such a great performance, and I love Jeffrey Rush. And then he's right about the personal aspect between both of them. It's such a great movie. But, like I said, I love everything British, so that helped.
Yeah, and you said that it's funny, sad, and introspective, and I would agree with that. It just missed my top 3, and it's my number 4 on my list, and I do think it's a great film. It's very well done and edited.
I think it's really interesting. A lot of these really British movies you'll get, they tend to be sort of on the maybe boring side. You know what I mean? But I thought this one with the cinematography and a lot of different elements of it really lended it to it being a lot more interesting than a lot of these other kinds of movies, these period pieces or whatnot would be.
All right, so we'll go to number 2. For Jake, you said Exit Through the Gift Shop, the documentary
Yes.
by Banksy, which could possibly be an Oscar contender, and of course, King's Speech. Colin Firth, we're thinking for Best Actor. Helena Bonham Carter for um,
Supporting actress.
and Jeffrey Rush for supporting as well.
Yeah.
Performances, and who knows, a whole rack of awards for that movie. But Exit Through the Gift Shop by Banksy could be a possible best documentary feature contender.
It's not like just a documentary. It's a lot more than a documentary, and a lot of people are questioning the authenticity of it. But I wrote this on the thing. I think it's kind of beside the point because it it doesn't matter if it's real or not because what it really is about is art in and of itself, and it's kind of a movie that's about itself if you watch it.
You get to number 1, and we'll go to Heather, whose number 3 was Inception.
Yeah, the visual effects were spectacular, and which is why it's on the short list for the visual effects award. I thought the cast was amazing. Marion Cotillard as the femme fatale. I don't think she's going to get nominated for anything, but I think she was great, and just the whole cast was perfect.
Yes, Inception was on my number 6, and was number 6. And yes, the visuals were breathtaking. A story that really makes you think. I think that's sometimes seeing a movie you don't want to think, but other movies when you enter in there and you're really like thinking about it a lot afterwards, I think that
Right.
that's another great aspect of good filmmaking.
It was
Yeah.
a I thought it was a lot more challenging than most of the other summer blockbusters you'll get. And I know a lot of
Right.
people have said that, but it's true, you know.
No, and
Well,
I
it was also the director's prerogative to not have a specific answer at the end. People are still wondering.
points. And I noticed that Jake, you didn't have it on your top 10. Would that be maybe a number 11 for you, or it just didn't
Um,
well, or why wasn't
it
it on?
would be maybe it would be top 20 for me, definitely.
Mhm.
But I did have some problems with it, plot hole wise, maybe. I don't.
Okay.
Okay, remember the part wherever he's there and Joseph Gordon-Levitt is shooting at him with a pistol, and he walks up and he goes, "You don't be afraid to dream a little bigger, love." And then he has the rocket launcher or the grenade launcher.
Yeah.
They can
Tom
just
Hardy.
make yeah, Tom Hardy. If they can just make a grenade launcher out of nothing, then I don't see why they can't just solve all their problems by just imagining it. I don't know. That might just be me, but I liked it. It was a good movie, but still, just whenever they're at the end when they're in the snow and they have to get to the building, why do they imagine snowmobiles? There's much better vehicles you could get
Like a
even in the
tank
snow,
truck or, you know.
like a tank. Yeah, I don't know.
Snowmobiles are fast.
Yeah.
I'm gonna defend it now.
They are fast, but a tank would beat a snowmobile in a fight. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm
In a
saying.
fight, yeah.
Oh, okay. Now, Heather, you had How to Train Your Dragon as number 2, which
Yes,
which in your world beats Toy Story 3 hands down every time. Why do
it does.
you why do you love this movie so much? What is it about this movie that just works for you?
I just think it's a sweet story, and then all the voices were great. I mean, Toy Story, maybe because it's the third one, I wasn't as attached to the first two, and so
Okay.
that might be my defense for not enjoying Toy Story 3 as much. And but How to Train Your Dragon just tugged at my heartstrings. I just thought it was funny and then scary at points, and I'm a kid at heart too, so
Okay.
How to Train Your Dragon just wins overall.
I thought animation wise it was a great movie. My number 3 was Black Swan. I I don't know how you feel about this movie, but it's I think it's a great modern fantastical thriller. It's intoxicating, and it was probably one of the few movies this year that when I left the theater, I was like in a euphoric kind of giddy state because I was just so impressed by just how the movie ended, beginning to end.
I agree. I liked it a lot. I think it was my number six, wasn't it? Number six on that list.
I believe so.
Yes, it was. Great cinematography. I'm not a big fan of Darren Aronofsky usually. I
Mm,
Okay.
really hated Requiem for a Dream, and I'd
really?
have trouble thinking of any movie of his that I've actually liked. Um, The Fountain maybe the most, and I think his style of directing has never really adapted well to the stories he's directed. But I think here he really did a good job, and I really liked what he did with the material.
I don't think it made your list, did it?
No, it's probably in my top 15. Um, I I commend Natalie Portman for she lost 20 pounds to the role, and she's a small girl to begin with, and so I mean that's dedication, and she was also doing most of her ballet scenes, so I enjoyed that, but I didn't come out with euphoria. I came out with wow, that was really creepy, especially Barbara Hershey as her mom. That
Oh,
freaked
that
me
was
out. She was good, but
yeah.
yeah, I mean, I sort of agree on Darren Aronofsky, although I didn't really like The Fountain. That was just really trippy. The
I didn't
Wrestler,
like
The
it that much
Requiem
either.
for a Dream. I get what he's trying to do, but it just doesn't sit well with me, and maybe that's part of the point of the Black Swan because the ending and everything she goes through. So,
Let's actually talk about our worst movies of the year. Uh, Jake,
ugh.
you had The Last Airbender.
I don't even want to talk about it. It was like a
I mean, I watched the entire Last Airbender series, the animated or anime series, and I just felt like in the script they sucked out all the joy because they're kids, they're supposed to be palling around and they're learning about these powers, and it became really, really serious. But the special effects were good.
Yeah, I saw it in 3D. I thought the way that they did the water, I really commend the visual effects team with doing the water and freezing it and the fire and
Mhm.
using all those elements. I thought was good. But unfortunately, as we've learned in the past, visual effects cannot save a movie. And it is a story. You love How to Train Your Dragon because of the story, not because of the
Right.
visual.
Yes.
We hate Last Airbender because of the story, not because of the visual effects. All
And
right.
this was one of the things where they did the 3D post filming, like they weren't planning on doing it in 3D originally. They just shot it through the 3D transmorpher majigger afterwards, and it messed it all up and made the screen look terrible. And it's one of those things where they did it clearly just to make more money. They did the same thing with
Mhm.
Clash of the Titans earlier in the year, which was
Okay.
probably would have been my number 4 least favorite movie of the year.
Yes, and Heather, you said The Killers was your worst movie of the year with Katherine Heigl and Ashton Kutcher. You just didn't think the chemistry matched up very well?
I mean, also it's a Katherine Heigl movie. I mean, she really hasn't pulled something good out since Knocked Up, although I did love 27 Dresses.
I was gonna say that
But
wasn't bad. That wasn't
yeah, but
bad.
it was horrible. It was ridiculous. Just the plot line, please stop. Just if I walked out of movies, I would have walked out of this one, but I don't.
Okay. Yeah, I would say I don't know if either of you saw Dear John in theaters. You probably avoided it like the plague. Well, I had a friend drag me along, and she read the book, she loved it, and she didn't even like it because she said the story was
Mm.
so altered and Hollywoodified or whatever term you want to use that she was like, that's not even how the book is. If you're gonna
Mhm.
adapt a book into a movie, you should at least keep this same ending and do this and that, and they didn't even do that. So my number two, which will lead into Jake's number one, is Toy Story 3. Why is it your number one movie of the year?
Toy Story 1 was probably my favorite movie growing up as a kid.
Okay.
So, and then Toy Story 2 came out when 1998. I was about the same age as Andy, I guess. And then this one is just the icing on the cake for me. And I would say this is the best film trilogy of all time. I say all 3 movies are perfect. Uh, all 3 of them are probably the best animated movies I've ever seen.
Okay.
And it's completely sentimental for me. You know what I mean? As I'm sure it is for a lot of people our age.
I
Mhm.
But
thought I thought the movie series got better. I thought Toy Story 2 was better than Toy Story 1. And maybe the animation did help in that sense. I just love this film. And Heather, it didn't make your list. Why? Is it just cuz you didn't connect with the characters as much or
Maybe I'm not sure if I can use this as a defense, but maybe it's because I'm a girl and like Andy was a boy. Like in terms of Pixar films and Disney films, I always gravitated more towards like the female characters. And so, Toy Story and Toy Story 2 were never really on my list of favorite Pixar films. So that's why it's not there.
so Heather, your number one movie was The King's Speech, and
Mhm.
of course we already touched on that. So I'm going to skip over that to my number one movie of the year. I loved The Social Network. And
Mhm.
before I give my reasons, I want both of you to kind of tell me why it wasn't high on your list. And we can start with Jake on that one.
um, I mean, I liked it. It was a good movie, but it wasn't even on my top 20. And uh, I'm not trying to be a contrarian or anything, but I just don't see what the big deal is. I liked it. It was a good movie. It was very of the moment, as everybody seems to say. But I don't know. There wasn't enough behind the character of Mark Zuckerberg. To me, he just kind of seemed like a little prick. I don't know.
Okay, and Heather?
Well, it was my number 5, and it was more of nostalgia for me. I mean, I get that it's a really good film and it's winning all the awards, but I have to agree that they didn't really give a depth to the characters. And that's what they were. They were characters because, compared to the stories that are coming out about Zuckerberg now, I can understand why he wasn't completely happy with it.
I don't know. I love the movie because I think it's well written. The pace of the movie, it's almost like you're on this fast moving train, and it's just moving so fast that you don't have time to even think about anything. And I think one good aspect of movies is when you're in the theater and you're not thinking about leaving the theater, you're not thinking about the movie itself being good or bad. You're just watching and experiencing the movie. And I think that that's kind of what The Social Network grabbed onto. It was an adventure, a thrill ride, high energy, and brilliant job with the scoring. I hope that
Mm-hmm.
And Trent Reznor.
yeah, I hope that he can get nominated for score, and the Academy will hopefully do that. What would you say Social Network chances of winning versus maybe The King's Speech, or are there other movies that you would like to see in in the Best Picture category that maybe haven't been mentioned or seen?
Well, one of my favorite movies of the year was The Town, and uh, earlier on it didn't have too much buzz going in, but I think recently it's been getting a lot of Best Picture nominations from various critics groups and stuff. So I hope that gets in there. Um,
It was an
but
enjoyable film.
yeah,
I like
it
that.
was. I
Um,
loved it a lot.
and we'll see what, because it seems almost there's 11 or 12 films kind of vying for the Best Picture category. So we'll see which film kind of gets left behind. So what do we
Yeah,
think?
I wouldn't bet against The Social Network. I still think it's easily the front runner in directing, writing, and Best Picture. I'm not sure if it'll score any acting wins because Colin Firth Colin Firth for The King's Speech was really good, and I can't see Jesse Eisenberg beating him in that category. But
Okay.
I thought I wouldn't be surprised if Andrew Garfield got a Best Supporting Actor nomination. I'm not sure he could win. I think Christian Bale in The Fighter deservedly has that kind
Okay.
of locked in.
Yeah, I'm just thinking that if we're going by performance, I'm leaning more towards The King's Speech winning Best Picture. If anything, it'll give The Social Network the biggest run for its money. And I'm just sort of leaning more that way.
Is there any movie coming up in 2011 that either of you want to see or are really excited about? Of course, Harry Potter for me is probably my most
Yeah.
anticipated film because if part two is anything like part one, we're in for a good treat. Heather?
Adjustment Bureau with Matt Damon and Emily Blunt. That whenever that comes up on the trailers, I'm just in awe of it, and I really want to see it.
Okay.
Yeah,
And Jake?
that that looks awesome. The Adjustment Bureau. Next week, Green Hornet comes out. Uh,
Mm,
Not usually too excited for January movies, but this one looks pretty good. Sucker Punch, the new Zack Snyder.
yeah.
Uh, um, and the new Terrence Malick movie, Tree of Life, which we've been anticipating for quite a long time.
And that is our discussion at the round table. For correspondents Jake Howell and Heather Leszczewicz, I'm editor James A. Molnar. Stay with the Gold Knight blog for all the latest Oscar news and buzz right here at thegoldknight.com. Until next time, bye for now.